Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing good out there today. Um, Hope everybody's been able to get on the water some, catch a few fish, just get out and enjoy the weather. It's finally been halfway decent, at least around here lately. Had a lot of rain a couple weeks ago, but it's been pretty decent weather lately. Um, Today I'm going to start a kind of like a series. I'm going to do a few videos on nothing but straight up uh, river fishing for bass. Um, I have fished probably more rivers uh, in the last 25, 30 years I've been fishing than I have lakes. There was some lakes back home I used to fish right often. They were horsepower restricted lakes, but several rivers back home, Nottoway River, Blackwater River, Chowan River, Chickahominy River, James River, just several places I fished over the years where I spent a lot of time on the river, bass fishing. So I figured I'd do a little series on the baits and techniques and some tips and things I've learned over the years to help me catch more bass in the rivers. Since we moved to part of North Carolina we're in now, I fished the Neuse River a lot, Roanoke River, Tar River. So I'm still doing a lot of river fishing. I enjoy the lakes, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the reservoirs and the lakes, Kerr, Gaston. Just spent a week at Lake Murray. I enjoy fishing those places. But I ain't gonna lie, something about river fishing, I've always really liked it. And it's just always been something that I've spent a lot of time doing. So I figured it'd be a good way to share some of the knowledge I've attained over the years through fishing on my own, learning from others, and just cover as much as I can, like I said, on different baits, techniques, and share some knowledge about river fishing that I've learned over the years. I'm gonna start off with topwater. Now, before I even get started with this, let me say I ain't saying that these baits, these techniques, these tips are the be all get all for river fishing. This is just stuff that's worked for me, stuff I've learned, stuff I've picked up on and worked on myself, and it's been productive for me over the years and consistently productive. So these baits are baits that I have I have grown to depend on, whether I'm just out there having a day of fishing, whether I'm pre-fishing or scouting for a tournament, or whether I'm actually in a tournament. So these baits are just consistently productive baits for me, and I'll share some, like I said, some tips along with it. And this first video is going to be topwater fishing. So I got 4 baits that 90% of the time I fish when I'm river fishing for top water fishing for bass in a river. Those baits are a buzz bait, a frog, a prop bait, and my rogue. You know, I love to throw the rogue. A lot of people put the rogue down after the spring. I probably used to do that some to a point too, but now I keep it on year round. It's just something I've gotten so much confidence in. I know I can catch fish with it year round. First, let's talk about the buzzbait. Biggest thing about a buzzbait is covering water. If I'm going somewhere and I'm haven't fished there in a while, if I'm seeing a lot of bait fish activity, if I'm seeing a lot of stuff happening, you know, around the pads and some grass, around cover, if there's any kind of bluegill spawn, the quickest way to find all that kind of stuff out is putting the trolling motor on high, throwing a buzz bait. My number one buzz bait is the Boogerman buzz bait. You can get that at Tackle Warehouse. It's made in Florida, Boogerman Bait Company. I have used this for a while. I know this brand has changed hands a couple of times, and there was a little while where there was some quality stuff going on, but now The baits are solid. Again, they last forever. Good wire, good head. It's just got a real good sound to it. I like the head knocker, clacking style buzz baits the best. I've had more luck with those, just better productivity as far as catching fish and getting bites with these buzz baits. Thing with the buzz bait, like I said, is covering water. This is always going to be my first choice. This is a Boogerman. I've just kind of painted the head black, did a little bit of work on the blade, colored one side black and chrome. Very seldom do I fish with a straight chrome blade on the buzz bait. That's personal preference. The only time I do is if there's a shad spawn. Besides that, it's usually colored some way, shape, or form. I love this Boogerman with the gold metal flake blade. It's gold, but it's got a little blue flake in it too. Love this gold blade. I love a gold blade anytime I'm fishing the river because you usually got tannic water, stained water, low visibility. Fish are usually tighter to the cover because of the watercolor. So gold has always been a good color for me on a buzzbait. Gold most of the year. Only time I go to a straight black is in the fall. I go straight up black. Like I said, if I go to chrome, I can color the chrome whatever color I like. Sometimes I color them red, sometimes I color them black on one side. I just something I like to do. I experiment with it and see if it makes a big difference. Gold's always the first choice. Boogerman's always the first buzzbait I go to. And you know by now, I got a cold, so if you hear me sucking snot a lot, that's what's going on with that. I've been messing with this cold for a week now. The Yodo worm is my number one. I don't fish a buzzbait with a skirt anymore. I did the frog thing for a while like everybody else. Then I started experimenting, trying to find something different because everybody was throwing a frog on their buzzbait. I came up with this. I started trying it. Good results with it. This is the 4 3/4 inch Yodo worm. I use that on almost all my buzz baits. I got one exception. I'll get to that in a second. My second choice for buzz bait after the Boogerman is this old Booyah with the paddle on it. A little bit different sound. I'll go over reel and rod and line here in a second. This bait is a little bit tougher to get it up on plane. You need a high speed gear ratio reel. Most of the time I'm throwing my buzz bait on 6.3 to 6.8 to 1. Occasionally I'll go a little higher than 6.8 to 1, but that's usually good enough to even get this up on top of the water pretty quick. This one here has seen its share of battles. The hook, the red's gone off the hook. This was a red hook buzz bait. This is my second choice. It's just always been a good producer for me. Again, I put the same Yodo worm on it. No skirt, just the Yodo worm. My last choice with the buzzbait is buzzbait's been around for a long time. Used to hear it talked about a lot, not so much anymore. That's the Cavatron buzzbait. It was always a saying that it was the slowest buzzbait, which pretty much means you can crank this thing as slow as you want and keep it on top of the water. If you're trying to get bites, it's a good cold water buzzbait. If it's I got 2 plaques on the wall from a club I used to fish with back in the day, and we had our club championship 2 years in a row on Nottoway River, and I won both of those on a Cavatron buzzbait in late November when the water temperature was, it might have even been December. I just remember one year it was really cold. It was crazy how cold it was because the water temperature was in the mid 50s, and every fish I caught and weighed in was on a Cavatron buzzbait. It was black, but it had a black blade, not a red blade. I don't put the Yodo worm on this buzzbait because the weight of the Yodo worm pulls this buzzbait down and takes away the benefit it has of being able to roll it really slow. I put a Black Label CP Crawl on it. different colors. This is called Japanese bluegill, I believe it's called. I'll just put one of these up here when I'm throwing this buzz bait. It's got good leg action, kicking action on it. And that is my third buzz bait choice. Those three, the Boogerman, the Booyah, and this Cavatron are my three buzz bait I go to whenever I'm river fishing. Next, we're going to talk about the good old frog. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I got a frog here that I haven't been using very long. John Sukup, who owns Save More Outdoors, he's fished the Elite Series, he's now fishing in NPFL. He came up with a frog. I cannot tell you, and I should know the name of it. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll get to that in a minute. When it comes to frogs, I'm pretty basic. I did a little video on these frogs. These frogs are super cheap. If you want to get into frog fishing on the cheap, got these off of Amazon. They're made by, it's a weird name, Tecmu. You get like 5 frogs in a box. These little frogs have an awesome hook. They're a lot smaller. Give you an idea. That's one of the John Sukup frogs. And this is the Amazon frog. See the difference in the size? When you can't get them to come up after a big frog, now these things here, I put a little glue on that magnet right there. Not magnet, but that lead weight right there. That keeps them in, because those weights will fly out. But I've had them fly out, even of the good expensive frogs. $8, $9 frog. That keeps those weights in there. Anytime I got a lot of vegetation and a lot of pads, I love to throw a frog. Now I'll throw the buzzbait around vegetation and stuff too, and the pads. And a lot of the rivers have all that in it. You know, they have, especially the pads. Some of the rivers around here where we live, now where I live, have a lot of grass in them. Didn't see as much grass back when I was in Virginia, except for maybe on the Chick. But I will throw the buzzbait around vegetation and pads as well. But the frog, I like to keep the colors pretty simple. Natural colors, green and white. This color here is one I like to throw in the river a lot. It's kind of black, yellow on the side, got a little brown in it. That's a good frog. Both of these are the John Sukup frog. I will find the name of this frog and I will put it in the description of the video, because I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this frog. This is his popping frog. Haven't even fished with this yet. I don't use popping frogs as much as most people do. I like to just straight regular frogs. But when I do hear a lot of popping in the pads, I do hear a lot of, you know, you'll be fishing pads and you'll get up to a certain pad field and you start hearing the perch or the bluegill popping in the pads, I will tie on a popping frog and give it a go. If I feel like I should be catching them on a frog and I ain't, I will take off those other frogs and I'll put a popping frog on. This one here is the old Booyah Pad Crasher. I have caught so many fish with this color. I wish I could remember the name of the color. I'm terrible with sometimes I get bait names and sometimes colors. I just, you know, I just ain't real good with remembering the color. I got to get better with that. I realize that's part of doing these videos. I want to say this is, I don't know, I can't remember. I do know it's a Pad Crasher. And it's been a good color for me. It's white on the bottom, blue, got a little purple, a little green on the head. Caught a lot of bass with this color, Pad Crasher. And like I said, these Amazon frogs, caught a lot of fish with those too. This is one that was black and I just kind of had a white belly. I just kind of changed the belly with markers. I do that with all my baits, not just frogs and plastics, but a lot of my baits I will add color to them with markers, and it's just something to do kind of on the fly. Let me tell you about buzz bait. I got an old rod here. This is one of the old, I mean really old. This rod's like 20 years old probably. It's the Bass Pro Shops See if I can remember what kind it was. I can't even remember, but it's like the Pro Qualifier. This was the old Pro Qualifier. That's what this was. It's like 20 years old. It's a medium heavy, but it's kind of more of a heavy. I like it for a buzz bait. Just feels good for me. I either use a 6.3 to 1 or 6.8 to 1 gear ratio reel, and most of the time 15 to 17 pound Berkley big game mono is the line I use. The gear ratio is kind of important because you want to get it up on top quick and you want to be able to keep the buzz bait up. For my frog, same rod. I got 2 or 3 of these left and I just can't get rid of them because I've caught so many fish with them. I'm sure the rods now they make are lighter. I know because I got some of the new Pro Qualifiers. This is another one of the old ones. It's a Cast King Mega Jaws 9 to 1 gear ratio reel. That's the only 9 to 1 I use on my frog rod. I use 50 to 60 pound Power Pro braid, and I do use some of the Cast King braid. Power Pro is good braid and it's easy to get because they sell it at Walmart. That's what I use for my frogs. So that's the buzz baits. That's the frogs. The thing with the buzz bait and the frogs, a lot of it is, too, especially the buzz bait, is current. A lot of the rivers around here are not tidal. You would think, being so close to the coast, that they would be, but they're not. Like the James Chickahominy River, that's straight up tidal. I mean, that river's, it's got, you got to know when the tide's changing. You got to know when it's dropping out to low tide, when it's coming back into high tide. You need to know those things. The fish feed on that stuff. It's a key part of the deal on those 2 rivers. The Chowan, Roanoke, Noose, Tar, they're not tidal. They're fluctuating because of rain level and wind. The wind's blowing a certain direction, it'll keep the water bottled up in the river and it backs it up. If it rains a lot, it'll keep the river backed up and it'll keep it high. If you go a while without rain and in the current, there's no wind to keep the river backed up, you'll see the river get really low. So the tidal rivers are the James and the Chick. Potomac River, that's another tidal river. I fished in the Potomac quite a bit, not as much since I stopped fishing BFLs, but but the other rivers, like the Noose, Tar, Roanoke, Chowan, Paquemmons, Pasquotank, those are more wind driven as far as the water level in those rivers. That's a big deal because a lot of times when the water's higher, buzzbait fishing can tend to be a little better. Now you can the target's better when the water's lower, but one thing to think about anytime you're fishing a river, no matter what kind of river it may be, especially I've noticed that around here, the Noose, I'll give you an example. You want to find banks where that water cannot get back into the swamp, where that water, when it starts to rise, can't just get back, because those fish will go back as far as that water will go. You need to find banks with a hard line where the water just stops. The fishing when the water's high is much, much better because those fish can't go any further. They can't get back into the marsh. They can't get back into the swamp. They can't go all the way back to and follow the ditches and stuff all the way up there where you can't get to. So that's something to keep in mind anytime you're fishing a river. And as far as buzzbait and topwater go, that's very important, especially when you have a lot of hard cover, wood cover along those banks where the water comes to a stop and the fish can't go up into the marsh. Like I said, you can catch a lot of fish on topwaters. Any of these topwaters I'm talking about. When the water's high, but when the water has to stop and can't go back up into like I said, the marsh, into the ditches and that kind of thing. So that's buzzbait, frog. And like I said, I will get the name of this John Suckup frog and I'll put it up on and again, you probably got frogs you like to throw. You might have buzzbaits you like to throw. I'm not saying the only way you're going to catch a bass is with these baits. These are just what's been productive for me, and I continue to use them, and they continue to be productive. So next is a prop bait. Now, I did a video last year. I had a real good day on a noose on a prop bait. This bait right here. It's a little bluegill. This is a little Academy Sports twin prop bait. It really has the body of like a square bill. Just put a prop on each end. This has been a real good top water for me, and so has this little guy right here. It's a Cordell Crazy Shad. It's another two little, you know, about 3-inch bait with prop on each end. I have caught so many fish on little prop baits like this. Look like little bluegill, little bait fish, and they just work really well. And I throw them, like with my Rogue, on a little 6-foot medium heavy graphite rod. This is the rod I use. I got a couple of these, and I like the 6-foot because I can put those baits as tight up against cover as I can, and I can't do it with a longer rod. I wish I could find a 6'3", 6'2", 6'3" rod, because I think that would work, but those are easy to find, and that's what I use for my Rogues. I use them for my prop baits, and I'll on occasion even use it for a walking bait. But walking bait's not something I throw as much in the river. Not saying I never do, but again, these are the baits that have been the most productive for me. Whenever they're relating to, if you find bass on any kind of bait fish spawn, shad spawn, if you find bass around any kind of bluegill beds, these baits like this are pretty hard to beat. Cast up as close as you can get to the target, to the beds. If they're holding on laydowns, if they're holding on cypress knees, put this bait as tight up against the tree as you can. Old school, let the ripples disappear, and then short twitches and hold on. These baits do really well in rivers. Devil's Horse. I used to throw that. I had a buddy years ago by the name Brad. He took me to the Blackwater River. This is the thing that got me hooked on these kind of baits. We're fishing out of a canoe. Old canoe he had. Blackwater River. And I think we were initially bluegill fishing, because I hadn't really got into bass fishing hard at that point. And he tied one of these on, and he was showing me what to do with it. And like my third cast, I threw it up there, boosh. And that was kind of it. That's what kind of got me going with rivers, throwing prop bait. Boy howdy, I didn't get one of those out. I throw that on occasion too, especially in the spring. But as we get further along, I start going more to the smaller ones. And this little prop bait and the Crazy Shad from Cotton Cordell, that thing there that's called a fish or two. I got like 4 or 5 of these left, but they still make them. You can still find them. Again, put it tight to the cover, couple of twitches, let it sit, let the ripples kind of disappear. It's a slow way to fish. You ain't gonna cover a lot of water with these. It's not like a buzz bait. It's not even like a frog. You can cover some water with a frog. But these are more of a slow target type presentation. You're going to throw it towards the laydown, work the laydown, make several casts to it, throw it toward a stump, several casts to that stump. Then you might put this down and throw something else. This is not something you cover a lot of water with. So this is more of a target type bait. And you can throw this around pads and stuff too. When you hear that popping noise around the pads are kind of sparse, not too thick. You can throw this around in the holes in the pads and on the edges. But I'm telling you, hold on, because you'll be surprised what you can catch with these little prop baits in the rivers. All the rivers. I've had good success in all of them. Chowan. I haven't fished the Paquimans in years, but I used to do really well in the Paquimans River with this bait right here. I mean, it's crazy how you catch fish with baits, and over time you slowly get away from them. And that's because they won't stop coming out with new stuff. And that's what bait companies are supposed to do. I get it. And I've tried other smaller prop baits that you would think would work, and I just haven't had the same kind of success with them as I've had over the years with these. So I got one more of the little Academy baits. I just got to put new hooks on this one. That's a little shad color one. But like I said, it's just prop on each end, you know. That 6-foot rod, you can get that thing real tight up to the cover. Easy to work the bait, and you can still fight a fish with a 6-foot rod. Everybody acts like you gotta have 7, 7.4, 7. You don't have to. I mean, for years you didn't have them. A lot of this stuff is a convenience. A lot of this stuff does help. I ain't saying it doesn't help, and it makes fishing more enjoyable. And some people just like having the latest and greatest. Ain't nothing wrong with that either. But at the same time, I know it works for me. If, you know, it may not be whatever other people choose to use when they fish, and that's what makes fishing cool, is everyone can do it their own way, the way they like to do it. And that's part of what the allure of the whole thing about fishing is. No two people are going to fish the same. They don't have the same thought process. They don't have the same mental decision making when it comes to fishing. So you got to figure out what works for you. I'm just giving you some stuff, some guidelines about what's worked for me. If you want to try them, apply them to your fishing, good. If it's something that that you do differently that works for you, share it in the comments. I mean, I've had a lot of guys reach out and share stuff with me about how they do this, that, and that's, you know, that's cool. That's kind of what this is about too. So we've covered the buzz bait, and we've covered the frog, and we've covered the prop bait. Last is the rogue. And you guys know I am about a rogue. I mean, I talk about it a lot. 2 colors. Only 2 colors I throw. Only 2 colors I got. Chrome with the black back, white belly. Gold with the black back, orange belly. That's more of a bluegill perch type. That's more of a shad. I actually used this one more in the lakes, but I do use it in the rivers. Had good luck recently on the noose with it, and I made a video a month or 2 ago with it. I've actually caught more bigger fish with the gold, black, and orange in the rivers. I've had caught more bigger fish with this 6-foot rod, 12 to 15 pound Berkeley big game. The rogue is a weird bait because you use too heavy a line, and it just doesn't fish the same. It's a little harder to cast. It's a very light bait. Easy to cast on 10, 12 pound line. You got to remember, if you're fishing around a lot of cover though, and you're using 12 pound line, even big game, every now and again, like those fish I caught on the noose in that last video, that was on 12 pound line. And I had a couple of them wrap me up around cypress knees. I was still able to get them out. But that's the 4 top waters. When I'm fishing a river, these are the 4 I'm going to start out with. These are the 4 that are going to get the most play. These are the 4 I got the most confidence in. And I'm going to fish them. The buzz bait, I'll fish anywhere. I'll put the trolling motor on high and I just go. I work it around pads, grass, laydowns, logs, docks, seawall, anything. I just put it down and I just trolling motor on high and just go. The frog is more of a vegetation thing, but I will shade lines. A lot of times in the river, you can get a lot, especially when the river's up some, you get more shade lines longer into the day. You can get that frog up underneath there and work them shade edges. Even if you can go from one side and then the sun gets up, you can sometimes swing over to the other side and do the same thing. So those shade lines are key in a river as well. The current seams. One thing about when you do have some current, and some of these tips are things that to a lot of you are probably second nature, but to some of you who haven't been fishing as long, it may not be. You want your boat to be facing into the current, and the current coming towards you, so your bait's coming back naturally with the current. You don't want your bait going against the current. That's unnatural. I ain't saying you won't luck up and catch a fish that way, but you're going to catch a lot more fish fishing into the current with your bait coming with the current back towards the boat. Ditches. A lot of times in the rivers, and this is where if you got the most basic sonar, basic depth finder, put it on 2D sonar. And whenever you're fishing, if you see any kind of drop off, if you're fishing in a ditch, in a creek, in a river, and it's 3 or 4 foot deep, you drift out to the middle and you see 6, and even better, you drift out to the middle and you see 5 or 6 foot and you see some stumps, you see some brush. That is very, very important in a river, because river fish, I do believe, move much more than fish in a lake or reservoir. I do believe they do. But when they got cover and that creek the water starts to drop, but they got cover in the middle of that creek and they got some depth change and they can still get down in there, man, you can whack them. You can really catch them if you can find where those little ditches and drains are. And even if you see a little ditch and drain coming out of the swamp and or coming down into the main part of the river, you'd be surprised how many fish will hang around the mouth of those things. Just fish around the edge of them, right off to the ends of them, where it first runs into the main river or first runs back into the creek. Catch a lot of fish that way. Everyone loves fishing topwater. The strike, you see it. A lot of times they catch a big fish. Topwaters catch big bass. So these are just my baits: buzz bait, frog, prop bait. Let me get the hook in my hand. I'm trying to, they're really hard. And the rogue. These 4 topwaters are the baits that I'm going to throw 99% of the time when I'm river fishing. You got baits you like, areas you like to throw them, share it in the comments. I hope this helps somebody catch some bass. I'm trying to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. On the buzz baits, like I said, the Boogerman is my go-to. It's #1 choice all the time. Then the Booyah, and then the Cavatron is my 3rd choice. I'm going to really roll it slower. The frogs, the prop baits, the rogues. 6-foot rod on the rogue and the prop bait. 6.5-foot rod buzz bait with a 6 to 8 to 1 gear ratio, and a 6.5 foot rod on the frog rod with a 9 to 1 gear ratio, 50, 60 pound braid. I hope this helps you guys catch some fish. I'll be coming out with another video soon on another aspect, another set of baits, lures, techniques, and tips for river fishing. And this is the first video in this river series, and I'll be coming out with another one soon. Be talking about maybe cranking, or maybe soft plastic fishing, or bladed jig, spinnerbait, something different, but it will pertain to river fishing. So I hope this helps you guys catch some fish. Good luck out on the water, be safe, and I will see you guys on the next video. One last thing, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you to all of you that have subscribed. Please share the videos if you got buddies or you got people you think would be interested in some of this, and maybe something they'd like or help them catch more fish. Share the videos, give me a like, and please subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.